rescue in White Rock, and the cleanup is only just beginning. Good morning, I'm Neetu Garcha. The cleanup is on for thousands of British Columbians today after one of the worst windstorms in recent memory swept across the south coast. Crews out across much of the region this morning, restoring power and fixing down power lines. More than 150,000 hydro customers went without power overnight, and some aren't expected to get it back for days. One person was killed by a falling tree in Duncan, and an employee at Surrey's Pacific Academy was also injured. And the famous White Rock Pier looks more like a war zone than anything else this morning. It's littered with fallen branches as well as logs and boat debris that have washed up on shore. Officials had to close it yesterday after the wind and crashing waves pummeled the pier.
Washed away by the force of the wind as it sent boats crashing into the pier. Oren was stranded.
It was more interesting to watch the pier.
Despite the chaos around him, Oren's wife says her husband was calm. That rescue came by way of a Coast Guard helicopter, plucking him off the pier, bringing him back onto dry land.
It happened all very smoothly and professionally, and everybody was caring and not accusative, I guess.
Vancouver was also hard hit with extensive damage across the city. The video you just saw shows a tree toppling onto the roof of a home on 12th Avenue and St. George Street. Wind knocked several trees down, one of them crushing a van and totaling it. Crofton House had their power knocked out when a branch hit an overhead line, and the Stanley Park Causeway was blocked off due to fallen trees. Needless to say, it was a busy day for first responders and a crazy one for the owner of that home, crushed by a downed tree. Well, get ready for some packed ferry lineups today as people try to make up for the lost day of travel. Sailings resumed Thursday evening after being canceled across most terminals for much of the day. And just to give you an idea of what the conditions were like for sailings that were ago, here's a look at the ride over to Bowen Island. Waves crashing over the bow of the ferry, proving no match for two men who tried to get a close-up look at the furious waves.
Plans deflated by a storm, which we knew was coming, but still managed to catch a lot of people off guard. Jordan Armstrong, Global News.
And the storm also wreaking havoc on Vancouver Island in the Alberta Valley. Flooding and high winds have forced the Tatshet First Nation to declare a local state of emergency. The Somas River burst its banks this morning, downed trees and power lines, impacting a number of homes.
Well, power is still out in many areas. At one point today, BC Hydro said as many as 330,000 customers were without power. These are the numbers right now in the Lower Mainland and Sunshine Coast. About 165,000 customers are impacted. Vancouver Island North and Vancouver Island South each around 70,000. So a lot of work to be done yet, and we'll keep you up to date on those numbers throughout the evening.
Now, meteorologist Christy Gordon joins us with a look at this powerful system that we just went through today. And what's next, Christy?
Thanks. So I just want to mention that today is a great example of why meteorologists really take the role of warning the public very seriously. Look at the gusts today, 122 kilometers an hour out in the Strait of Georgia. That's a Sandheads station there as well. We saw 102 in Abbotsford and Sterna Island at even close to 90 kilometers an hour in the Vancouver area.
What a wild day it's been.
Oh, crazy day. What a wild day. Certainly, we saw wind gusts, as we mentioned earlier, 100 to 120 kilometers an hour out in the Strait of Georgia. Lower Mainland gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour. The waves are blowing, logs being thrown up on the beach, and, of course, down trees all over the area. This is from White Rock and one from my sister-in-law in Duncan. Look at the root system that was pulled up, just to give you an idea of the strength of the power of these winds, Duncan being one of the hardest hit areas. And look at the power outages. At one point today, still very similar to what we're seeing right now. Can you imagine trying to deal with all this if you work for BC Hydro? So incredible winds today and very dangerous. Now we are still expecting winds into the evening hours, very likely gusts 30 to 50 kilometers an hour. These are generally southwesterly. There is potential for some gusts in the 60 to 70 kilometer an hour range, but that's less likely. That's just on the outside chance. And then lighter northwest winds expected overnight. Now, it's these northwest winds that we are going to be watching. That's a Stanley Park scenario, although when we're expecting them, we only expect winds up to maybe 40 kilometers an hour, so not enough to do damage, but we'll be tracking that.